You know what's on the block. On everybody's lips. When are we going to get free and fair electoral reform? Everybody's talking about this. In a few minutes, we'll hear from the leader of the United Workers' Party. He had a court session this morning. So I'm sure he'll speak to what happened in the courts and the way forward. I'm sure he'll speak. Issue of the day as it relates to electoral reform. So he's on the ground. Dr. Thompson Fontaine is back. And I'm sure he'll take some of your questions. Let's go back to some of the voices we heard this morning. The people want true electoral reform. Let's start the conversation.
And you cannot tell me that you want to ask somebody to put the fingerprint on an ID card to vote when you don't need the fingerprint to get a passport, to go out of the country. That's not right. That's not right. When the police arrest you, the only time they are authorized in law to ask for your fingerprint is after you've been charged. And we want to criminalize voting in Dominica? That's what we do? Because the only laws that provide that make it mandatory for fingerprinting is the criminal laws. And it's only after you've been charged for crime and read your rights. And are we saying, as progressive people, enlightened people, that we want to criminalize voting in Dominica? Because we believe that if we do those things, that we can win an election. My friend, politics is hard work. Hard work. And to do this, you must love people. You must be empathetic. And the people who I see pushing this notion of criminalizing voting in Dominica do not love people and have no knowledge of their history. No knowledge of their history. And they're not sincere. And let me say to them, not because you see me cool and nice all the time, that I am afraid of anybody. So they can bring all the demonstration on they want. But they don't want to test this Labour Party and its ability to mobilize people. We are going to go ahead with this reform. We're going to go ahead with this reform. And the Parliament of Dominica will decide, ultimately, what this reform agenda entails.
Matters Peltier, I listened to the statements of the Prime Minister in Parliament.
Mm-hmm.
I must say I'm disappointed, but not surprised. I believe that Roosevelt's spirit has resolved within himself that he will not leave office via the ballot box. So we can do what we want when we're ready. He's ready to challenge us.
I think
I
got that feeling there from the very beginning. It doesn't really matter what you do.
Yeah. So he's now promoting the issue of electoral reform as we versus them. His party versus those of us in Dominica who want free and fair elections. This is not what electoral reform is about. Electoral reform is setting a playing field through legislation that will allow the best team and the team that the Dominican people feel that they want to govern them for 5 years will govern them. He has pinned that around, and that is what he's now doing. Roosevelt, when you look at the amount of money that has been spent on the issue of electoral reform, the decisions and the recommendations from various informed authorities, including the Caribbean Court of Justice, regarding electoral reform, you recognize that Skerrit is not determined, and he has made up his mind he's not going to give electoral reform the way the people should get it. If Her Excellency, the President of Dominica, in Parliament just ended, made a statement that we should take note of, that she is saying that the bill that has been sent or prepared by the government, Roosevelt Skerrit administration, she's satisfied with it. Yet, she appointed an electoral commission to review the bill. And she should be awaiting their decision, but she's saying, I'm satisfied. So whatever they come up with, she ain't interested. Skerrit is now saying what the Attorney General presented, he's satisfied with it. Mm-hmm. So it's just a formality that he's sending it to the Electoral Commission because the Constitution provides that. But as far as it's concerned, he primarily. Roosevelt Skerrit, I cautioned you, I advised you at the consultation.
I was there and I heard that.
You must give the people. My conscience, the spirit inside of me tells me that you have to give the people what they want as to electoral reform. You seem determined not to. So what you're doing, you're going on the wrong path. You will be surprised. You will be shocked at what will happen if you do not allow the people electoral reform. You are provoking the people of Dominica, and you have provoked them to the point where they cannot take any more. When people come and provoke you on your property, Dominica belongs to all of us, and you are provoking us on our property, which you have part of it. But the majority is saying that you are provoking. We have a right to defend ourselves by any means necessary. And this is where you're taking the people now. They have a right to defend themselves any way they find it appropriate. So be cautious, Mr. Skerrit. You can bring out your mask because you're turning it into we advertise them. Bring them out. I, as a Baptist, will stand up to any measure that will bring free and fair elections in Dominica.
My dear brothers and sisters of Dominica, if you by any chance have a device for detecting BS from Dominica's cabinet of ministers, I'm sure it must be blown up by now with all the foolish talk of con men and con women, especially in the parliament, trying to trick and deceive you that all is well. In the last 3 election cycles, the Roosevelt Skerrit administration allowed over $8 billion to be stolen from the people of Dominica, while the people of Dominica sank deeper and deeper into hardship and poverty. Elections have consequences. Stolen elections facilitated by a tainted electoral process have brutal consequences. For 2 decades, we the people have been advocating for electoral reform. For example, an accurate list of voters and ID cards for voting. In 2008, Skerrit and his gang branded such reforms proposed by the Electoral Commission as madness that would, according to them, undermine Skerrit's re-election legacy. 16 years later, Skerrit is still trashing the people's wishes and doing as he pleases.
And let me say to them, not because you see me cool and nice all the time, that I am afraid of anybody. So they can bring all the demonstration on they want, but they don't want to test this Labour Party and its ability to mobilize people. We're going to go ahead with this reform.
To be clear, electoral reform means what is needed to fix our tainted, poisoned, corrupted electoral process and make it fit for the purpose of free and fair elections. Electoral reform is not whatever Skerrit says it is or wants to do to protect his legacy of stealing elections in Dominica.
And so they said they wanted a voter ID card. We said we wanted national ID card. We said, okay, take the voter ID card.
Now, when con artists want to trick and deceive you into believing what they know is not true so they can manipulate and control you, they oversimplify things that are not well known or not properly understood, and they make up stories that play on your emotions.
No, they have issued the voter ID card. They want more things on the voter ID card that you find nowhere in the world. And the passport being the supreme document of our country doesn't have those things.
The ranting and raving of Roosevelt scared on ID cards for voting is calculated to fool the people of Dominica into believing that the inadequate provision for voter ID card he has decided to take to Parliament to suit his plan to own and control the electoral process is the reform the people want.
I heard, for example, they're talking about fingerprints and all this thing. There's not going to be fingerprints for voter ID card anymore. You cannot tell me that you want to ask somebody to put the fingerprint on an ID card to vote when you don't need the fingerprint to get a passport.
We paid $750,000 for electoral reform recommendations and revised election laws from international jurist Sir Dennis Byron. And after widespread consultations with the people of Dominica, he advised on the importance of using biometric data in the voter identification process. Here's what it says, quote, "The introduction of voter identification cards to persons registered as electors supported with biometric data was considered one of the most important reforms by almost everyone. This was regarded as essential to eliminate or minimize a wide variety of fraudulent conduct at elections, including impersonation and multiple voting. The Commission has been able to commit to the use of a card for authentic voter identification, strengthened by biometric data technology. The leader of the opposition and his team, in consultation with me, supported this development. At the time, it was proposed that there would be a voter identification card and that the biometric methodology would be based on fingerprinting. During my consultation with the government, they also supported the use of biometric data to strengthen the process of personal identification, but proposed that the use of facial recognition was sufficient and that to include the requirement of fingerprinting might generate pushback, especially from those sections of the community which associated the taking of fingerprints with criminal investigation. I am not persuaded that there would be widespread resistance to fingerprinting. Many countries require fingerprinting as part of the application process for visas, and Caribbean nationals readily provide their fingerprints to foreign countries as part of that process. Further, research shows that for decades, fingerprints have been a basic standard type of biometric information collected by many countries as part of their voter registration process. But the criminal enterprise, obsessed with criminal behavior, haunted by the presence of criminality in their discharge of public duty, could only see criminality in the use of fingerprints for voter identification.
And are we going to criminalize voting in Dominica? That's what we're going to do? Because the only laws that provide that make it mandatory for fingerprinting is the criminal laws. And are we saying that we want to criminalize voting in Dominica?
This statement is willfully ignorant and conscientiously stupid. You can only criminalize voting by making the act of voting a crime, which would turn elections into a crime fest. And that is clearly not what is happening. But the statement is deliberately calculated to deceive, just like the emotional outbursts about depriving Dominicans of the right to vote.
People fought hard for the right to vote, that we're now trying to put systems in place to deny people access to voting, a fundamental right.
The constitutional right to vote in Dominica is a right granted to citizens 18 years and over to vote for representation in Parliament in Dominica in a polling district or constituency where such citizens live or are ordinarily resident. It is not a right to citizens who have chosen not to live or not to ordinarily reside in Dominica indefinitely. It is not a right to live elsewhere and help to decide representation in Parliament for those who live here. It is not a right to receive bribes to come to vote in elections in Dominica, influence the results, and then leave Dominica immediately to return to the preferred place of residence and parliamentary representation.
Now, what they're yapping on, Mr. Speaker, is campaign financing.
Political parties must raise money to fund the operation that allow them to exist and the election campaigns that present their national development plans and programs for the consideration of the people. Campaign finance regulation is necessary because money cannot be allowed to have controlling influence in our political system such that elections can be determined and or purchased by big money interest or criminal enterprises. So, campaign finance reform is about solutions to the critical money in politics issues that are negatively affecting elections.
And Mr. Speaker, it makes no sense, absolutely no sense, for the parliament to go to parliament, come to parliament to pass laws knowing that they can't be implemented.
We have a responsibility to reform and to improve our campaign finance system with election laws that remove the unfair influence of big money in the electoral process, require disclosure of all campaign money raised and spent, and hold elected officials and wealthy special interests accountable to the people, and also to create a level playing field for fair competition and ensure everyone plays by the same common sense rules.
And even when you look at the Sir Dennis Byron draft bill, you will see that there are so many gaps and voids because they themselves, they have difficulties because it's a highly complex and technical issue.
They're doubling down on their campaign of misinformation and willful ignorance to mislead innocent, unsuspecting Dominicans. The proposed new and revised election laws, which government says it will take to Parliament soon, do not address the critical matter of removing the taints on the electoral process or changing the rules to clear the way for free and fair elections in Dominica. And never mind what the misleader in chief says.
This is why even in the United States, where you have such legislation, it gives the presidential candidates the opportunity to opt out of that arrangement. And they're allowed to raise as much money as they wish to.
One candidate raised $200 million in one night. One night.
Now, what does U.S. presidential nominee Kamala Harris raising $200 million in one night in the U.S. have to do with the need for regulation of campaign financing in Dominica? In the U.S., presidential campaigns can be publicly or privately funded. Either way, there are laws dictating who can contribute, how much they can contribute, and presidential candidates are required by law to report to the authorities on the sources of campaign funding, the amounts raised, and the amounts spent. We want similar regulations in Dominica. Skerritt believes such regulations will undermine his re-election legacy, so he kicks them aside with the hilariously silly excuse that they are too complicated for Dominica.
How are you going to manage and oversee the issue of campaign finance in Dominica? How are you going to do it? At what cost? This is why when I raised this issue in CARICOM felt like this should be a regional undertaking because this is too complex for one country to go in.
Prime Minister now says campaign finance regulation means political parties want money from the treasury to campaign. We have not proposed public funding for election campaigns of political parties or independent candidates, nor do we see in the legislation proposed by Sir Dennis Byron any provision for public funding of the election campaigns of political parties. Let's be clear. Skerritt's party is the only political party in Dominica benefiting from public funding of its election campaigns. It receives millions of dollars from the sale of Dominica's passports from agents of the Citizenship by Investment program to purchase candidates and bribe voters. Additionally, Skerritt's party takes whatever it wants from the public purse to buy influence and to secure votes. Skerritt does not want election laws to prohibit such blatant corruption. Such regulations will undermine his re-election legacy. History will be kind to those who embrace the human right to stand for right, and the ancestors will smile on those who will do whatever is needed to be done to rescue Dominica from the clutches of a criminal enterprise that has placed Dominica's electoral process under heavy manners for the corrupt personal gain of a chosen few. Enough is well past enough. I'm just saying. We have tolerated Skerritt's electoral reform merry-go-round for more than 16 years and 4 election cycles. This provocation is against the law. It simply cannot be allowed to continue. If the reforms going to Parliament are not amended to deal with these taints on the electoral process, they must be forcefully rejected. And Dominicans must move decisively to remove this anti-free and fair election regime from office by any means necessary.
What they gonna do when enough of them not true? Say what they gonna do, them get slow, yeah. Who do you think you are? We're living in a small world. Who do you think you are? A big request. Who do you think you are? We're living in a small world. Your wish is my command, huh? That's the song you wanted to hear? You think you are. We living in that one yonder. All right, that day will come when I stand and see all those wicked men in the fire getting burned. That day will come when they will try to escape, when there will be nowhere to run. That day will come when I shall see they handing over bombs and bayonets and bullets and guns. That day will come when Emperor Selassie shall rise the world they get to shoot them from out of Islam now. And the day I would love to see their face, for all those people they do to the human race, and try to take things out to place, run away to space, shoot them in the air. After one that judgment you have to get to take, when them find out that them can't escape. That mistake and all the people them chase. Smile on my face, that day will come when I stand and see all those wicked men and the fire getting burned. That day will come when they will try to escape and there will be nowhere to run. That day will come when I see they handing over bombs and bayonets and bullets and guns. That day will come when Emperor Selassie shall rise the world they get just to them out of this love. Boom. Who do you think you are? We're living in a small world. As wicked as you think you are, we're living in a small world. As slick as you think you are, we're living in a small world. As tough as you think you are, we're living in a the one that me and now tell them. Escape today, you can't escape tomorrow. Make sure you pay back anytime you borrow. Make sure you don't let no life in a sorrow. Who do you think you are? You're living in a small world. Make sure you break no push out in a barrow. Make sure you make them walk out and borrow. Yeah, make sure your meditation and narrow. Judgment, I want to tell you something the world I want. That there will come when I stand and see all those wicked men in the fire getting burned. In the house with us this afternoon, there is the leader of the United Workers' Party. Nowhere to run. That there will come when I see their hand. Again, from my knowledge, top highly paid prosecutors did not show again in the court, huh? Yeah. I will remain the same. Alien Rastafari. You have the man traveling all the way from Sudan. For all the innocent going down the train. Many times. And of course, no show. That's an abuse of the system, huh? Make sure you make them walk out and borrow. Yeah, make sure your meditation and narrow. Judgment, I want to tell you something the world I want. That there will come when I stand and see all those wicked men in the fire getting burned. That there will come when they will try to escape and there will be nowhere to run. That there will come when I see they handing over bombs and bayonets and bullets and guns. That there will come when Emperor Selassie shall light up on the wings of the heavens and the sun. Oh, yeah, I will remain the same. That day will come, huh? Watch them going up in flames. For all the innocent going down the drain. You have to pay for the shackles and chains. And pay for this washing of the brain. Locked in Florida with love. Guns and cocaine, the sick and the lame. All right, that day will come when I suspend and see all those wicked men in the fire getting burned. That day will come when they will try to escape and there will be nowhere to run. All right, we'll play that fun one for you sometime later in the hour. Well, it's our time to introduce the leader of the United Workers' Party, Dr. Thompson Fontaine. Somebody from Monjon says, to my soldier, Doctor, welcome back. Don't give up. That's the first words of encouragement to you. Good afternoon, Dr. Thompson Fontaine. How are you doing?
Matt, good afternoon to you and to your many listeners hanging in there, doing my best and giving thanks.
All right, Dr. Thompson Fontaine, I know we'll talk about electoral reform, but we want to know what happened in the court this morning. I heard you showed yourself there.
Matt, it is deeply frustrating to me as someone who has to go through this and to really, it's a sad indictment of our legal system. And it is clear that our justice system is suffering from the weight of injustice. And why do I say that, Matt? I came all the way, as you said, specifically to be in court today. We were given the date 2 months ago when I appeared in court here. And the government of Dominica has decided on a summary matter, which is what I am charged with, obstructing the police in that particular case, that is a case that is normally tried by police officers. So if, for example, anybody else in Dominica were to have that charge, it would be tried, not even by the DPP herself, it would be tried by some local police officer. Instead, they've made sure that the case goes to three senior counsels that have been paid, we are told now, over $1 million to prosecute me in a magistrate's court. And when I came 2 months ago to court, they were not there. They were not there when the date was set for this court case, but we expected that for the DPP, they would have been there. When we arrived in court today, we were told that they are aware of the case. In fact, they did not even show up. The DPP did not even show up this morning. We had to adjourn and then come back a little later. And then she tells the court that the lawyers, that PSF can do anything. Her hands are tied effectively because the case is in the hands of those three paid lawyers from Trinidad and Tobago.
You're saying she couldn't do anything? She can't do
anything? She can't do anything as far as the case is concerned because it's out of her hands. She, as the director of public prosecutions, can't do anything. That the only persons that has any jurisdiction now to deal with that case is the three lawyers, Mr. Khan, his son, and some other Indian lady. And that they were not able to come today. They were not able to make it. All right? They were not able to make it to Dominica, so the case can go forward. And I'm thinking, well, I came all the way from South Sudan, which is probably 10 times further than Trinidad and Tobago. You can get to Dominica the same day and live the same day from Trinidad and Tobago, and they're not there, and I'm there. In any other court, that would have been thrown out because it's just a complete waste of time, of my time, of resources, of course. You have to pay lawyers, pay transportation. It's not inexpensive. It costs quite a lot to travel to Africa. And to get there and to be told that you have to come back another day because the lawyers could not come from Trinidad and Tobago. And to also know that you can be tried by your own people in Dominica is just extremely frustrating. It's extremely, extremely, extremely frustrating. I'm trying to be patient. I'm trying to allow the course of justice, in this case, I would say injustice, to take its path because that's what it is. I can see that to me has nothing to do with justice. I mean, to begin with, it's a very frivolous charge with which I'm charged. It has to do with the event we had in 2017, United Workers' Party rally that we had calling for Skerrit to go, and to resign as prime minister and to allow the country to breathe, allow the country to move forward. A very large demonstration, by the way. Thousands of Dominicans, came out. And coming out of that, there was an incident involving the police. And from that, I was charged, along with the incitement charge, which is before the High Court. So in addition to this low court, I have to go to the High Court as well. That I'm waiting a date for that, for the charge of incitement, which obviously we're going to fight very, very strenuously. But with this local event of obstruction and having to go through that endlessly like that, I think it's really a waste of everybody's time and of resources. And you wonder why it is this government is doing this, why they continue to behave that way towards me, when all I'm trying to do is to help build my country and to to really develop this country. And to be treated like this, like even worse than a common criminal. Even the common criminal has certain rights, and that he's, I'm not even given those basic rights that a criminal gets. And then to go through this, and I will just add, Matt, before you come in, just to say that, in those 7 years now that I've been coming to court, this is my 12th appearance in court. I made one appearance. I did not make one time. I did not come because I was told by the lawyer that I did not necessarily have to be there. It was at the very beginning of the court that because I was in Dominica just a couple of days before the court case called. So he said it would be difficult for me to come back. And normally with that, since the case is not starting, then it is a simple thing. They will be able to impress upon the court that, I'll be there the next time. And a warrant was issued for my arrest. And I was publicly arrested and humiliated by this police when I returned to Dominica. And put in jail, spent 3 nights in jail, just because I did not show up one time. And here you have paid lawyers by this government not showing up consecutive times, and yet it's like business as usual. It's grossly unfair. And the justice system in Dominica can do better than this. And if they can do that to me, such a public figure, I wonder what's going through with the loads of persons who are in court right now or probably on remand. And it must be a mess. It must be a nightmare for families in terms of getting justice for their loved ones.
I feel your pain. I feel your pain, the Dr. Thompson Fontaine. This is. I had the minister of I think security, and I did ask him the question. I wish I could have pulled up that clip there, and he said he couldn't interfere. And I thought that was
really he's the minister of security, of national security, minister of justice in Dominica, and the whole thing is mad. They've moved this, they've politicized this, okay? Because if it was not a political affair, it would never have been in the hands of those lawyers to begin with. Okay, it would have been prosecuted by a police officer, okay, because that is what that is deserving in terms of the charges, that particular charge. So they've made it political. And part of the politicization, part of making that political is to drag me up and down, make me come as many times as possible, spend as much as possible, spend on lawyers, because, you have to pay the lawyers. You engage as lawyers for this period of time, you have to pay them. Every consultation is a charge that comes from the lawyer, So, you have, there is a real cost to it, in terms of the physical movement. And I can't do anything else. I can't take a holiday. I can plan everything I plan now. I plan around, those court cases because they happen frequently, practically every 6 months, every 6 weeks rather. That's how frequently they come up and they're adjourned. So I can't do anything else. I can't get on with my life, so to speak, because any kind of travel that I have to do, it has to be around this, So if, for example, we even plan a protest or something, I can plan around that because my first duty is to make sure that I appear in court so I am not again arrested.
When is the next court date?
It is now set for October 21st.
October 21st.
So that's, I guess, 8 weeks away or something. Yeah.
All right, Dominica, I'm just going to give you a chance, of course, to speak to Dr. Thompson Fontaine on this. This is just total unfair. I'm not a lawyer by any chance, but it's clear he's being politically persecuted on this one. Hello, talk to me, yes?
Matt, good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon to you, sir.
Matt, good afternoon to Dr. Thompson Fontaine.
Yes, good afternoon.
Dr. Fontaine, this is hurting me. I'll tell you why. But before I say why, I want to tell the world that this is tyrant, unjust. This cannot be right. But what I want to ask you, Mr. Dr. Fontaine, what are your people in your village, your community? What are they saying? What plan are they? What they plan to do for you to be going through all these harassment? What are they doing? I try to ask myself if they're not doing anything on their behalf. So tell me if you know, please.
Well, I mean, quite clearly, they like me want to respect the rule of law. They want to respect the course of justice in this country, and you try to be like me. I mean, I urge patience on their part, and in my conversations with them, I've always asked them to be patient. We understand what this is all about. It has nothing to do with justice, everything to do with political victimization and trying to discourage me as leader of the United Workers' Party, the party that is set to form the next government of Dominica. So that's what this is about. And I think my fellow villagers understand that. My peeps out there understand that. They see exactly what's going on, and so far they've been listening to me. In terms of what course of action should be taken. You would recall that they signed a petition several years ago. In fact, probably 3-4 years ago. Hundreds of villagers came together, labor rights, workers, and others came together and signed a petition. Particularly, all of the village signed a petition saying that this particular case should be thrown out. So they've done their part. They've done a major petition that went to the ministry, to the Minister of Justice, and it was just thrown aside. But it's not like they are not angry. It's not like they are not agitated. But we try our best. We are peace-loving people. We are law-abiding citizens, and we try our best to follow that.
Have you spoken to your pal rep about this at all? Have you had a chance to speak to your pal rep?
No. As my pal rep, I hope she's concerned. My pal rep and very, very good friend. I mean, we go back years. We went to school together, and somebody that we've always been in touch with over the years, and I hope she's concerned about what's going on. I've not yet had a chance to speak to her about it, but I'm hoping that she knows what's going on, and she can see what can be done.
Some professional is telling me at this point, unless you contact the BBC or Al Jazeera to document this case, to tell your story, this will go on. Expose them. Contact the Al Jazeera or BBC and let them tell your story. Time to give this legs. Ask him if he has contact for them, and he will consider, and maybe they will consider. All you need to do is a simple phone call, Cameron, to follow Thompson through this, or he might just throw the chair. Please read my comment. Unless you contact the BBC or Al Jazeera to document this case, to tell your story, this will go on. Expose them. Contact Al Jazeera or BBC to tell your story. Is this something you'd consider?
Yes, Matt, that's certainly something that should be considered at this point. As I said, I've been patient in trying to allow the course of justice to move on, but 7 years on, hundreds of thousands of dollars in the red as a result, and not to count my own personal time and energy and time spent going up and down. I think it's probably time we start looking at other alternatives.
Well, I did tell you this afternoon. I'm going to try to make contact with the Caribbean News to, of course, try to send this piece out there and give this story some legs. Hello, talk to me. Yes, maybe they'll pay attention. Yes, how are you doing, sir?
Good afternoon. Fine, thank you. Good afternoon, there. How you doing?
Yes.
Matt, you see what is happening there? That is very serious, and I want to find out from Dr. Fontaine if it is not possible, because that's something I suggested on Matt program some years ago, but those suggestions seem to be falling on deaf ears. The OECS court, is it possible for us to organize a delegation and go down to St. Lucia, where you have the headquarters of the OECS court, and state our case there and make a protest, even go on the Carib Express, to go with our placards and visit the headquarters of the OECS court and make them know of our situation in Dominica, and together with the advice that the gentleman sent about getting BBC and Al Jazeera to follow the cases, because that Matt, we cannot just sit down there and I heard Dr. Fontaine said about the petition was sent to the ministry and so on. That's good, Matt, but those petitions have to go outside of Dominica, because we know it's one man controlling all the systems, the political system, the judiciary system down here. It's controlled by one man. Okay, so that is why we have to think of taking that protest outside of Dominica, where it hurts. And one of the first places I'm thinking about that we can make an impact is to take a group of us, go down to St. Lucia on a boat, and we visit the OECS, the headquarters of the court, and make our case known, because they are aware of the nonsense that is happening in Dominica with respect to the injustices that is happening there. And Matt, that I was making a point to you the other day with respect to the appointment of the governor of the central bank. The same way the governor of the central bank is appointed, it is the same way the president of the OECS court is appointed. They must have approval from all of those corrupt prime ministers. So that is why whenever they take those positions, they are beholden to those corrupt prime ministers, so that the same court can deny Skerrit from presenting his passport in Dominica, but in St. Kitts, the same court with the same lawyers will allow Denzel, will order Denzel to produce his foreign passport. We need to protest those things, Matt, and we need to protest those things at the headquarters level where it matters, because if we just stay there in Dominica and do what we want, look at, for example, what the DPP is doing. The DPP is operating on their own. You have orders from the highest court of the land, the Caribbean Court of Justice, and the DPP just trash those orders and do what they want, Matt. So we need to raise the standard of our protest to address the court itself, the managers of that court, the president of the court, and the other judges of that court in St. Lucia. The headquarters is in St. Lucia. We need to try to see how we can organize ourselves to get down there, Matt, because otherwise we're just going to continue suffering that injustice. Matt, I myself in a similar situation like Thompson, The lawyer from Trinidad, they have trying my case. He's never there, Matt. Probably once I saw Mr. in court, I probably went to court around 6 times already. One time I saw Mr. in court, Matt. He's never there. And right now, that same lawyer, Keith Scotland, he's right now the minister. He has been made a minister of, I think, national security just around 3 or 4 weeks ago, So it's even going to be more difficult for him to come to try the cases that he has to try in Dominica. So that is why we need to step up the level and the integrity of the protest against those people visiting that amount of injustice on us. Thanks a lot for
Thank you. Again, that person is advising that you have the perfect platform. You have a paper trail. They can follow you with that paper trail. That person, again, that's advising to get to the BBC or get to Al Jazeera to tell your story. And I suspect it's something you might want to take up.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Absolutely.
All right, 153. Hello, talk to me, yes?
Yes, good afternoon. Good afternoon, Dr. Thompson.
Yes, good afternoon.
I don't know. I'm hurting to see these people could be wicked like that to a human being, spending money all the way from Africa, coming here, paying your people you have to pay, do all those things there. And those wicked people, I do not believe they know there is a good. There is a good. And you see that advice they give you about BBC and Al Jazeera, take hold of it. Don't let the case stay in Dominica going. Expose them to the world. And let us mark down the date of that case, 20th. What?
Of October 20?
Of October.
21st, yes, 21st.
21st of October. Let us mark it on our calendar. Thank you.
All right, hello, talk to me on the telephone, yes?
Good afternoon, Matt.
Good afternoon to you, sir.
Dr. Thompson Fontaine.
Yes, good afternoon.
You have all the guardian angels guardian Dr. Thompson Fontaine. Don't be afraid now. You will succeed. You will succeed. Matt, I want to stray from Dr. Fontaine for a while and just to mention some institutions here that Dominicans are also concerned about. That is the property that was built on the former Vina McDougall's land. We are hearing, and I would like to ask Mr. Skerrit, what interest does he hold in that property? Mr. Skerritt, what interest does he hold here? And if the media could get to him to ask him that question and to give an answer, I would also like to ask him what interest does he hold, or whether he holds any interest in that restaurant which was built opposite J. Astafan and Company Limited. Does he have an interest in it? Not the Labour Party built Labour House and they bought the land of Winsky, the former surveyor, may he so rest in peace. Mr. Skerritt, how and where did the Labour Party get that money to buy that property and to build Labour House? Were loans taken? Were they want cash? Mr. Skerritt, you are just trying to just whip Dr. Fontaine, but you have questions to answer from us. And we will insist that when the time comes that you answer those questions. Dr. Fontaine, just hold on, because up to this morning I pray for you. Trust me. Up to this morning I said prayers for you. Just hold on, Dr. Fontaine. May the Lord be with you. Thank you.
Equal rights and justice for all. Rights and never fall. Tell themselves, boom, what they gonna do when enough for them not true. Say what they gonna do, them get slew, yeah. Who do you think you are? We're living in a small world. As wicked as you think you are, we're living in a small world. As bad as you think you are, we're living in a small world. As tough as you think you are, we're living in the one your name. All right, that day will come when I stand and see all those wicked men in the fire getting burned. That day will come when they will try to escape and they will be nowhere to run. That day will come when I shall see they handing over bombs and bayonets.
It's 1:57 in the afternoon. Hello, talk to me.
Good afternoon to you, Mr. Fontaine. Good afternoon, Matt, and good afternoon to everybody in Radio Land.
Good afternoon.
Yes, Matt. I really feel for Dr. Fontaine, Matt. But Dr. Fontaine is a powerful man. He holds a certain level outside there. The world recognizes him from IMF. And now in Sudan, trying to bring peace to a country where there's persecution. And for him to be persecuted right there and have not given it a thought to make it public in the outside world, I think that is too much love, so-called love for Dominica, whatever you want to call it. I believe it is time to expose Roosevelt Skerritt for who he truly is. Roosevelt Skerritt and Rayburn Blackmore, Matt. These are two evil leaders, Matt. I mean, how can you put a young man through that? How can you put a man through that? The man is out there. Well, he's making his salary, yes. He went out there for work primarily. But he's trying to put peace in a country, trying to bring stability to our brothers and sisters in Sudan. Soon they might go to Sudan for money if they haven't gone there. You know what I'm saying, Matt? And for you to be prosecuting a man like that for a case that is not worth the paper it is written on, Matt, this case will go nowhere. They cannot get a conviction on it. Matt, look at the state of crime in Dominica. Last night, we had a murder in Mlakushi area, Matt. But if they concentrate the resources they put in on Dr. Thompson Fontaine and the other guys, Lennox Linton, they want to see those two guys down, Fontaine, Lennox,
Edison.
But the resources they put in on those two men, if they concentrated on that Dominica police force to try to bring the criminals, the real criminals to justice, my brother, we could see something happening in Dominica. Instead of taking the state money and having to prosecute people that are not supposed to be prosecuted, that have done nothing than stand up for justice, Matt. They have a democratic right to do what they did, Matt. I'm saying, Dominica, I have to blame Dominicans, Matt. Thompson Fontaine and Lennox Linton should never go in a court in Dominica without that whole place be blocked. People should not be able to pass. We should stand in solidarity with them. But I just cannot imagine that, man, people putting themselves out on the line to fight for Dominicans. A set of people are hungry because of the system. The same politicians that make them hungry, man. CDI falling. It fell already. It's not like nothing going to happen for you. And you have men and women that trying to put themselves out to save your country, being persecuted by people like Reuben Blackmore, wasting state resources on foreign lawyers. If there's not enough competence in Dominica to prosecute a basic case like that, then clearly you'd have a case. So I'm calling on Roosevelt Skerrit, Reuben Blackmore, these evil guys, to come clean with the people of Dominica. Prosecute white-collar crime. Prosecute white-collar crimes. Your fellow passport sellers, the criminals that we selling passport to, Matt. There are criminals out there. You know, the state of crime is just that, in Dominica. If people can just phone people and you hear they die, what you expect in Dominica? Killers being held up by Labour Party. Killers being held up by ministers. I mean, what is happening in this country? You go in there and come to Fontaine. You have an empty police force that cannot prosecute nothing. That cannot do nothing. They cannot investigate a case for that matter, rather than prosecute. They cannot investigate a case because of the way you bring in people into the police force, man. Every minister have a quota. And you have Thompson Fontaine, Lennox Clinton, Edison James, and the others. I mean, why won't Skerrit let his conscience kick in? The same set of criminals that enjoying the passport money. Why don't they say, boss, chill out? We're doing so many things. Let go the man, free up the man. Why don't they, isn't Joseph Isaac should stand up and say, fellas, enough is enough, man. The same way they could free me up. Because I did no crime. Let go the men. Let them go. But Thompson Fontaine, I want to tell you, these guys have a plan to make you poor. To keep you poor so that you cannot be able to take care of yourself and your family. So you'll be a broken man and you cannot run a proper election with them. They'll do the same thing, but will be less effective against Lennox and the others because they're right there in Dominica. So I think what they're trying to do is to break you, destroy you. But they have families, they have children, they have themselves, and if you, even that men do live with them, if you put in a man for that for nothing, for matching, if you attempt to do something to them, you attempt to overthrow the country, you have to face your fire. But for just standing up, walking the street, you have a democratic right to do it. And for foreign lawyers to be eating state funds. But you know what? State funds drying. Passports not selling anymore. When you see they're going down, it is labor rights that have to bring them down. Labor rights that have to bring down Skerrit and his government. Not anybody else. Because people like us, I am worried, the talkers with the way a man life costs very little in Dominica. They might decide that man talking too much, bomb him off, You see how people dying easily?
True.
If you don't call Al Jazeera as soon as possible and make the world know what is happening in Dominica, we may not last the next election. Mark my word. That's my contribution.
A very powerful contribution there.
Equal rights and justice for all. Rights and never fall. Tell themselves, boom, what they gonna do when enough of them not true. Say what they gonna do, them get slow, yeah. Who do you think you are?
It's a very political, they call it a political persecution because an obstruction charge was dismissed against Joshua Francis. The same way the system discontinued against Joshua, Joseph Isaac, and Nicholas George. You guys may be special people.
Well, it's clear it's political. It has nothing to do with justice, And if you read the case, it's laughable,
Nowhere to run, that day will come. When I shall see they handing over bombs and bayonets and bullets and guns.
And somebody just brought to my attention that the Minister of Security stated in Parliament that the legal services have to be brought outside of Dominica to avoid political interference.
and try to take things out.
Then when asked about the charges brought against Dr. Fontaine and Q just last week, I asked him the question. He says he can't comment.
Find out whether them can escape.
What a load of baloney.
People them face, smile and my face.
Hello, talk to him on the telephone.
Hello, good afternoon, man.
Good afternoon to you, sir. How are you?
Not too bad. Mr. Fontaine, be patient. They have you going up into the courts up and down, but you will be free. But when the Dominican people time reach, we will put them inside there for a very long time for the things that they do to us. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, thank you.
As bad as you think you are, we live in a small world. As tough as you think you are.
Small telephone calls, 205. Talk to me, yeah?
Yes, good afternoon to you, Matt.
Good afternoon to you, sir.
And good afternoon to Dr. Thompson Fontaine.
It's good afternoon.
Welcome back. Good afternoon to you, Matt, and good afternoon to Dr. Fontaine.
Good afternoon. Mm-hmm.
So welcome back as it is. You know, coming back so many times, so I don't know when we'll stop saying welcome back, but we must say welcome back. Matt, I am wondering, well, I'm not wondering, I believe and I know that Labour Party, Roosevelt Skerrit and his ministers are going to start, from the day they lose the election, start saying political witch hunt. They are going to start saying that there's a political witch hunt on them. And they should understand that it's not about political witch hunt, it's about getting things clean in the country. You know, because it's really, really not fair to anybody for the Director of Public Prosecution, not the minister, you know, the Director of Public Prosecution who could nolly pros certain cases, Matt. The one who nolly pros certain cases in the past, saying that is out of our hands, is the people in Trinidad who can do anything about it. It's very sad that we have passed over our laws and what to do with our laws in Dominica to the lawyers in Trinidad. Very, very, very strange. The Director of Public Prosecution can, and she needs to stop saying she's out of hand. She can say, well, that's the end of the case. Nolly prosecute. That's the end of it, you know. But good afternoon. We'll continue looking and waiting and seeing what will happen. Will happen, Matt. Good afternoon.
Thank you. Hello on the telephone, yes?
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
You look like the women of Dominica is growing more powers than the men. We need to mobilize and lock down this place. Enough is enough. We're tired talking that country. Action time now. Let us group up, let us stand up properly and lock down Dominica. Everybody have to just drive in town, pack their vehicle wherever it is, and just do what they have to do. Nobody don't move in. There's a little bit of police in the country now, and we are wasting time and just talking on the radio. Let us mobilize and lock down Dominica. Let's carry run out of there. We need to mobilize. Enough is enough. The women and they want to move, but the men don't showing them that they are balls in that country. Let's stop wasting time. Thank you.
Thank you. On the telephone, hello, talk to me, yes? Caller.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon to you.
And to Dr. Fontaine.
Yes, good afternoon.
Yeah, this is not a matter of justice. It's a matter of political prosecution, victimization. And it shows how low this government is. They spend time trying to destroy people who do not support them and persons who, and then not even concerned about them, about this government and their personality and their personal issue. They're concerned about how they govern the country and the benefit that is derived from their services to the country. And where the country was before where it is now. And this government spending time wasting resources. I mean, you can't pay to pick up garbage. You can't pay persons who are working in solid waste. The NP workers get their pay late and so forth. A young guy told me he had they give him a job and he had to put his money into starting the job, and he's going up to Treasury. He should almost finish going up to Treasury. He can't get his money. They can't do that. But he can find money to pay a Trinidad lawyer or lawyers to come here to prosecute Thompson Fontaine. I agree with you, Matt, that Dr. Fontaine needs to engage BBC and Al Jazeera and all of these. Let the international community know that we live in a country where the government itself is a lawbreaker. I mean, the government itself is not governing with a sense of justice and fairness, but governing on wanting to destroy opposition, wanting to destroy democracy, wants to destroy good governance in our country. And therefore, this up and down, it is so painful to have these, what you call these crooked lawyers from Trinidad. I call them crooked lawyers because, I mean, if you were not crooked, you have a case to call. Every time the gentleman comes to court, you're not there, and so on. I don't know what they're trying. If they're trying for him not to come, and then for them to say, well, he did not show up, and therefore to arrest him again. Why they're not impressing on the lawyers to come, or the DPP herself must take this matter into consideration and recognize either on the court itself. I think where it is now, in the magistrate court, or it went to high court. Where it is now.
In the magistrate court? Yeah.
Right.
Which one?
The magistrate himself.
Yeah,
or
yes, in the
herself,
magistrate's court, yes.
right. Must he or herself must say to the lawyer, find yourself in court, or else we dismiss the case. What rubbish is that the people are not showing up, the lawyers are not showing up, and the gentlemen that defend the prosecutor is showing up. The magistrate, what are they working for? Are they working for justice for the country, or are they working for a political gang that want to destroy people, destroy their family, destroy their life, put division? Because, since these guys have come on the field and in government, they have destroyed people, Scary is the first prime minister in Dominica pay a person murder to go on a platform to lambaste her son, That never happened before, Pay the lady and influence her to go on a platform to lambaste her son who was running for election against them, I've never seen in Dominica except this guy. This guy have created history. And I would not blame him alone, Mr. Scary. I call him Mr. Scary now. I don't blame him. I blame the whole group of them who sits in cabinet, who support him, who see the wrong. And they go to church. And you know the thing about church, they go to church and pray and Holy Mary and all of this thing. And they're sitting and saying this nonsense, this rubbish is happening, saying nothing, doing nothing, see nothing, hear nothing, and so forth. And they continue to move as if things is normal. And then you have a person coming down from South Sudan for a case all the time, coming back and forth. And the lawyers are not there. I call in the magistrate to take action, tell the lawyers find themselves in court, or that's the last time I'm pursuing the case. I remember they did the same thing when Sabotage had this case. We went to court there. And when the magistrate said so, when we came back hoping that Savage came in to have the case going on, the magistrate himself, he gave his instruction to continue, So there is political interference in the justice system. And those persons who are DPP, magistrate, whatever they are, who are political and represent partisan interests rather than justice, they must resign. Get out of people's normal legal and justice system. Go and run for your office, for the politics, go and be in parliament, make them make a senator, and leave people justice in peace, because the more you provoke the country and you create this foolishness, because a wrong is a wrong and a right is a wrong. It's a right. What happened today with Dr. Thompson Fontaine? One might say, okay, it's not my business. It will come to you one day. So we must stand up against wrong things in our country, irrespective of who the person is. We don't look for party, don't look for color, look for the humanity in what we do as people.
It might be you tomorrow.
Might be you tomorrow. Might be you tomorrow, and so on. Matt, I'm very disappointed. And I'm speaking to them, I'm very upset, because I find this foolishness should not happen. The magistrate, again, the magistrate, the judges, whoever they are, the DPP, if you want to do work in a partisan way, get out from people's justice system and go run your politics. But do your job fairly and stop having people being prosecuted for years and you can have a matter solved. A large judge came and he said so. He exposed what is happening in this country. And if those people don't have the ears and they don't hear, we the people of Dominica must take matters into our hands, because we are tired of this and so forth. We're fed up. Thank you very much.
Thank you, boy. Boss was sounding very frustrated at this time. For phone line 30959697 6164257. Somebody says here, Matt, the brave man is not he who does not feel afraid, but he who conquers that fear. The words of Nelson Mandela. There comes a time when people get tired of being plunged into the abyss of exploitation and nagging injustice. I believe the time The time has come. You get the feeling, Thompson, that people are getting fed up. Huh?
Yes, yeah, absolutely, Matt. They are, and it's just the weight of injustice. I talked about it. In fact, Matt, even what is happening to me is not even legal, is not even right, because, it's the same circumstances around which I'm charged with incitement and with obstruction. And from every legal opinion I have received is that the fact that they sent one case to the High Court, that lower magistrate court should have gone to the High Court as well. It's like if, for example, you wound somebody, all right? So I hit somebody and I've wounded them, and then the person later dies. Okay, I cannot charge you for wounding and murder. I have to only charge you for murder, because murder is a higher charge, which comes under it. So it's the same thing. The obstruction and the incitement, the claim came from the same event. So if I have a High Court event, that case should be heard within the High Court. The fact that you're charging me, so I'm asking the lawyer now. So what happens now? September size is, what if they decide to call the case? So at one day I in low court answering a charge, next day I in the High Court answering a separate charge around the same event. It is, to me, that is double jeopardy, and it's not even right in law.
Trying to get 2 bites at the cherry there. 216 coming back.
What they gonna do when enough of them not true? Say what they gonna do, them get slow, yeah. Who do you think you are? We're living in a small world.
Couple says these people are being wicked to Dr. Fontaine. Joseph Isaac should be pressured to say what happened on that day. He was part of it. He knows that Dr. Thompson and others are not guilty of any incitement. They're all being wicked.
We're living in a all right, that day will come when I stand and see all those wicked men in the fire getting burned. That day will come when they will try.
We all know that this case against Thompson Fontaine is political in nature and tantamount to political persecution. It is very clear they cannot defend it. Let me just say this to the Dominica people. The government of Dominica is a clear and present danger to the people of Dominica and the region by extension.
Run away to space, shoot them in the air. After one judgment, you have to get the test. When them find out that they can't escape.
Hello, talk to me, yes?
So, who knows the day before the case, Dr. Thompson Fontaine case? If those lawyers really staying in Trinidad on their own, or they are getting messages? Thank you.
Hello, talk to me. I mean, they should be speaking to the DPP. She's in charge.
Yeah,
she
but
would know.
She would know. The DPP knows, and there was ample time to plan to come.
And you said she came to court this morning and said she'll come back?
She was not there when the court opened. She was not there. They had to call her, and that's a disrespect again. She did not even show up. It's like, and it's only when somebody in the court called and said, well, the case has been heard and the lawyers are not there. And she showed up, we had to suspend and wait a couple of hours for her to get there, so that's what we're faced with.
Hello, yes.
Is this a matter of taking the victim? Is this what he's doing?
What is that? I didn't hear what the question is.
Is this a matter of playing the victim?
My friend, I suspect it's Mr. Mills.
Did they say playing the victim? Bro, I've been to court 12 times. I've made 12 appearances. And the lawyers paid to prosecute me, the overseas lawyers who were paid to prosecute me, have not showed up. So what are you talking about?
Boy, 218. That day will come, Mr. Mills. That day will come. Hello, talk to me, yes. Play the political game. 218 is the afternoon time. Hello, yeah?
Yes, Matt. I'm there. Good morning. Good afternoon, Mr.
Good afternoon.
Fontaine.
Good afternoon to you.
Yeah. Is there any way of calling Joseph Isaac as a witness? Can you frame that case in a way that he call him as a witness?
Yeah, but they start things. We have not even gotten to that point as yet. We have not even gotten to the case being called. The case was supposed to start today, and the lawyers did not show up for the prosecution. So we've not even gotten to the point where we can call witnesses and prove the nonsense. And that's what they know. They do not have a case.
Okay, I understand. Now, when Mr. Skerritt goes on the air and threatens, did he do that in Parliament, or did he did that in Parliament?
In Parliament,
that
yes.
Threat.
In Parliament.
In Parliament, he's making that threat. So that he can do that in Parliament, threaten in Parliament. The Speaker allows him to make a threat to the general public in Parliament or to the opposition in Parliament, and this is not incitement, where he talks about, bringing out his supporters and all that, and he goes scot-free for that. You cannot charge him because he said it in Parliament. He's protected because the Speaker allowed him to say that nonsense in Parliament.
But I think the parliamentarians do have some privileges there, when they're in Parliament, yeah?
Matt, they have privileges, but the Speaker should stop him because an opposition leader couldn't say that. An opposition parliamentarian they would not allow him to say that. So why is it the Prime Minister has been allowed to say that? The Prime Minister doesn't have a special privilege over the other members. Anyway, that's it. Good afternoon.
Hello, good afternoon to you. 2:20 is the afternoon time. Hello, talk to me, yes.
Good afternoon, Mr. Peltier.
How are you, sir?
I'm good. Good afternoon, Dr. Fontaine.
Yes, good afternoon.
Matt, you see how foolish all people. I heard a call a while ago say, "You did not the victim."
We playing victim.
Yeah. If you so have a case against Dr. Fontaine, wouldn't you not let that case go on already so that you can charge the man?
A long time.
And let the man serve his time. You would have done that a long time. Matt, what I'm seeing with this particular case with Fontaine is that I am sure that Fontaine cannot contest an election with that case on his head. And that is exactly what is doing. They're dragging their feet, Matt, on that particular case because they know, Matt, fully well that if an election was to be called because Fontaine has a case against him in the court, then he would not be able to contest an election. Fontaine, keep strong. Don't give up. I would advise you, just as the last person advised, that you should take that to the BBC, Al Jazeera. Take that further and let them understand what is going on with you.
Well, again, thank you, caller. But I'm talking to a lawyer now, and I just told I whispered to Dr. Thompson Fontaine, I don't think you're correct. You can contest an election.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I will have to find out from the lawyer. I'm not sure.
I'm just talking to a lawyer now. Mm-hmm. The caller is wrong. He needs to be educated. So I think you can still contest an election. You've not been persecuted. You've not been brought to court.
Exactly.
You've
because
not been found guilty.
Yeah.
Hello, talk to me on the telephone. Yes, good afternoon. Yeah.
Thanks for taking my call, Matt. Matt, the justice system is all about money, not a damn thing funny. You hear me? You get money, you get justice. You don't get no money, you're getting no justice. It's very simple. That's why people taking just matters into their own hands. And this has to change. The justice system shouldn't be about money. You know, they are there to represent the people when they need justice. It's very simple. Thank you.
All right, thank you too. I'm just loving this song in the afternoon there. Who do you think you are? You're living in a small world.
Equal rights and justice for all. Rise and never fall. Tell them, say, boom. What they gonna do when enough of them not true? Say what they gonna do, them get slew, yeah. Who do you think you are? We're living in a small world. As wicked as you think you are, we're living in a small world. As bad as you think you are, we're living.
Somebody's asking, that's for real.
As you think you are.
Is there even a case? Why is this case why does this case keep surfacing? This is total discrimination. Again, I just advise and some other professional advice, Dr. Thompson, take this case to the BBC, Al Jazeera. Let them follow the trail. So expose it internationally and regionally.
And the day I would love to see their face for all those people they do to the human race and try to take things out of place, run away to space, shoot them in the air.
Let's go back to the telephone. Hello, talk to me. 2:24 already. Yes, we're going on.
Dr. Thompson Fontaine not going to forget, not because I refuse him to remind him what to do. Thank you. What he has to do. Thank you.
Somebody says, put all the Kabbalists in a barrel like ants and burn to death.
When I see the handing over bombs and bayonet and bullets and gun.
I've gone through my pain
When them
with them as well.
just do them out of this love.
But I have them where I want them. Slow but sure. Calmer, calmer, calmer. Will be delivered. More telephone calls. It's 2:25 in the afternoon. Hello, yes? Hello?
Mr. Pelkey, how are you, sir?
How are you, sir?
Good. That's what happens when you're not living in a democratic country. If that woman had any kind of authority, that case should have been dismissed this morning because you're paying these people money to show up and they're failing to show up to they claim they're prosecuting the man and they're not showing up. Meanwhile, the Prime Minister's son is living in New Jersey right now when he was involved in a vehicle accident that killed somebody. And they're allowing him to leave Dominica. There is a hell. I was going to say if there's a hell. I'm a Christian. There is a hell. And Skerrit is already in hell. He's a dangerous man. Thank you.
We live in a small world. That's everything to war. We live in a that one that name now we tell them escape today, you can't escape tomorrow.
2:26. Hello, yes? Uh-huh.
Yeah, Matt.
Yes,
the other
sir.
day I was speaking to my lawyer, and when I asked him how are we going to deal with this situation after they finish all of their bogus cases, and he told me that we'll be going to the court we will be bringing them to court for malicious prosecution. And then to give me the confidence in what he was telling me, he told me he just won a case against them for malicious prosecution, Matt. So we will have our day in court too, Dr. Thompson. We will have our day in court too. Let them finish, let them run their scene. After they run their scene, we'll run our scene, my brother. Malicious prosecution. Thanks a lot, Matt.
All right, thank you. Back to the telephone. Hello, talk to me, yes?
Matt,
Uh-huh.
my advice to Dr. Thompson Fontaine is to make a compilation of all these utterances, these unheard of utterances in our parliament, which should apply to the same thing in our region, and send it to all the speakers of the House across the board. Publish it. Let people know what nonsense is going on in the parliament in Dominica, and let's see what their reaction is. Thank you.
Somebody suggested that to me in recent times. I can't confirm, but the question is, are these lawyers there in Trinidad actually being paid with the state of the economy at this time? That's a question we need to ask. Are they being paid?
Probably that's why they not show up.
Just a question. Are they being paid?
Boy.
This is why they're not showing up. I mean, we've been talking about the economic status in the country. We have to ask, are these lawyers being paid? 449-3095-96, and the only people that can answer these questions are these lawyers themselves. Hello, talk to me, yeah?
Mr. Pelty.
I'm here.
Good afternoon. Let me tell you something. He uses the foolish things of this life to confound those who are weak, those who are strong. And he uses the weak things of this life to confound those. Let me tell you that Pontius Pilate took Jesus everywhere before they could things. Many of the apostles went through many things. This man, that the black man, Mandela, went through many things and he overcome. The Bible said that man plans his way, but God directs his path. So, Mr. Fontaine, go through all what you're going to do. At the final analysis, you'll come out on top. God bless you. Bless Dominica.
All right, thank you too. A society in which an accused appears in court 12 times and cannot have the matter resolved as a failed judiciary and wears injustice and oppression as a badge of honor. Somebody's saying here 12 times and nothing, absolutely nothing, Thompson Fontaine. Absolutely nothing.
Nothing matter after 12. After 12, I mean, that's a lot of court appearances. There's a lot of energy, a lot of hours wasted, a lot of, just a waste, complete and total waste.
On the telephone, yes?
Yes. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Yes.
I spoke to you once upon a time, and I'm warning you again. Leave Dominican in their business. You are a smart, intelligent man. You're making enough money. 3 times, 12 times you come into answer case From his free time, he should stop that and stay up there and save the money. What are you wasting your time with Dominicans for, partner?
But he's a respecter of the law. I mean, he has a case in I understand where you're coming from, but if he doesn't appear, they're gonna throw him in jail for the second time. Would you take the jail for him?
Yeah, not don't come back in the country. What to come back for? Stay up there, stay somewhere else.
Well, you know that's not how true patriots behave. On the telephone, hello, talk to me, huh?
Good afternoon,
Good afternoon to you, yes.
Good afternoon, Dr. Fontaine.
Yes, good afternoon.
Dr. Fontaine, I feel your pain. What is your lawyer saying in the court?
Well, my lawyers have been defending me. Even this morning, they asked the magistrate to dismiss the case, and he decided not to. You know,
who's the magistrate?
It's a new magistrate, and I think that's probably what the problem was. It's a new Indian magistrate. He was in Portsmouth, I was told, and he's just now in town. I didn't even get his name, but it's a new. I think he's from one of these Pacific countries.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he doesn't know too much about the case.
So he just got the case, and so I think in a way it was kind of difficult because before we were being heard by the chief magistrate, Ms. Candy Riches, but this case have been given to him. So it's a new magistrate, so he could not because since it just came to him. His argument was that, well, I just got the case today. I can't move to dismiss it because I'm just getting it now. And I have to familiarize myself with it, So, yeah. So.
On the telephone, hello, yes. Are you there, caller?
What about the free years is still away?
449-3095. Mr. Mills, behave yourself. Hello, talk to me on the telephone, yes?
Dr. Thompson Fontaine, good afternoon to you, sir.
Yes, good afternoon.
Yeah, Matt, you know, it have a saying that goes, what goes wrong comes around. So here it is that the ruling government persecuting members of the opposition. Now, remember, government politics, parties come and parties go, government come and government go. So what if that government change, which of course they're on the verge of being changed, and the other government comes and they decide is retribution time. My brother, we have to think wisely. We have to think to stabilize a country rather than persecuting your opponent in a manner such as what has been happening. Because a man working over South Sudan, you penalizing him, punishing him, whereby he could, that money, Matt, you never know, the economy tight, things rough. He could have helped maybe 10 children, 5 children, 15, 20 children with that money. I mean, come on, my brother, and see so many things. We have been pointing out that this administration have embroiled themselves in. What if that government change and the next government decide they go in there and all man that do wrong? I brother, this is just confusion in the country, setting a country against people against each other. I think the DPP should shelve away that case, just like she shelve away the cheating and bribery matter and other matters. I think she should shelve away that, burn that, throw that out, my brother. Stop persecuting members of the opposition. And guess what, Matt? The members of the opposition that are being persecuted, as far as I'm concerned, is pastors and priests, you know. Come cool fellas. Fellas that will not even make a blow be enough fly. Because number one, if those guys was bad man, that government would have come out there a long time. Thank you and good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you. This one there for you, Dr. Fontaine. Gonna come back and take a break. We'll come back.
They can't keep a good man down. Always keep a smile when they want me to frown. Keep the vibes and I stood my grounds. They will never ever take my crown. Oh, Jabez, I say no man curse. Things get better when they thought it would be worse. Here comes the officer.
Just a story coming in that the police is investigating the murder of a Campbell.
I'm so sad he does a rock. They just can't stop.
A Campbell man. Police say they're continuing the investigation into a murder that occurred in Macquarie on Sunday, August 18th, 2024, where a Campbell man was shot. According to the police, the deceased is Albert Jr. Joseph, 33, only 33 years old. So far, no one has been arrested as police continue their investigations. In the meantime, the police are asking anyone with information to call Crime Stoppers or the nearest police station.
Give a child reward. So Sally does a rock. They just can't stop me now. Even when they set their traps, they just can't stop me now.
Let's go back to the telephone. It's 2:35. Talk to me, yes.
I've scored it for 5-3.
Hello, whatever his name is, Mr. Mills. You can try. All right, hello, talk to me, yes. Oh boy, get something to. Well, anyway, let me just skip them one shot, huh? Let's.
You're only trying to tarnish my name. You're only looking for the innocent to blame. When you're the ones who wish that.
Hello, talk to me on the telephone. Yes, good afternoon. Yeah.
Yes, Matt. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you, ma'am. How are you?
I'm there.
Yes. Hello.
I'm just sad
You're
to see
sad?
what happening to Mr. Fontaine.
Why?
But God is in control. You have to be strong, and we are praying for him. Matt, something I have in my mind a while now. Like every time Mr. Fontaine come down, the lawyers are not there. I think to myself, because somebody send that to you, but I have that in my mind for the longest while, and I've been calling, I wasn't getting through. I was wondering if the lawyers and them are getting paid.
That's a big question.
I have a feeling something is going somewhere wrong, and Mr. Fontaine needs to find out if those lawyers are getting paid. If the lawyers and them are getting paid and they are not coming, I think next time Mr. Fontaine going to the court, we're supposed to have a delegation by the court. The lawyers are not there, dismiss the case.
All right, well, the people will stand, I imagine, on the 21st, is it 21st? 21st of October, just around the time of Creole Festival. So a lot of people will be on the ground then. Hello, talk to me, yes?
Matt, good afternoon again. I wasn't finished making my point.
Go ahead, yes.
So the magistrate is a new magistrate.
Yeah.
Well, maybe the lawyer should have given him a little history on the case and tell him he's appeared 12 times, and the one time he was arrested and slept in the cell for 3 nights. But his lawyers continue not appearing. You know?
Yes, well, all that was actually done. My lawyer indicated the length of time the case has been going. A number of times I have made appearances and so on, and even our own submission to have the case thrown out was done as well. So we've done everything within the law so far to get rid of this case, but it persists, unfortunately.
Somebody's saying all the facts of the case are before the new magistrate. He can clearly see where this case has been postponed over and over and over again. Therefore, he should have had no choice but to dismiss it forthwith. In a real and true democracy, it would have been thrown out a long time ago. Another point of view. 449-3095. You want to say something about?
Yes, but I just wanted to say as well. We asked in asking for the case to be thrown out. One of the things that we asked for disclosure on was the lawyers, how much they're being paid to prosecute this case. Those questions were asked of the magistrate, and she again rejected. She rejected all of those questions that were asked by my lawyer, because we thought it was important for the Dominican public to know how much those lawyers are receiving.
Do you think she would know?
Yes, she could have asked them for it. I mean, she has within certain limits, she can do it. That's why my lawyer thought it was important to ask her to do it, to get that information, and also to show the license by which these gentlemen are asked to come to Dominica to prosecute me. All of that information we requested. And all of that was denied.
Not forthcoming at all.
It was not forthcoming.
Hello, yes, talk to me.
Matt, good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you, sir.
Matt, and good afternoon, Mr. Fontaine.
Good afternoon.
Matt, I don't know how they give that lawyer that case. I went to court. I went to the court with somebody I bailed twice in Portsmouth, and the man cannot speak English. The man doesn't. When I say he can't speak English, a little nothing. The man cannot understand anything. The prosecutor have to be leading the man and basically telling the man what to do. And everything else, he's going to come back. He's going to take note and he's going to come back. You know, I don't know how they can put that magistrate on that case. You know, because you know, that magistrate cannot dismiss that case because he's not understanding what's going on. If those before wasn't doing it. So I think that they bring those kind of people in Dominica to work. I mean, just to waste people's time and to form the fold and to actually tell them what to do, because that's waste of time completely. I'm very surprised that magistrate is on that case. Anyway, good afternoon.
All right, he just came. He knows nothing. Hello, talk to me, 240. Why would you put a new magistrate in a case that has lasted how many years now, Thompson?
7 and counting.
And you put it a new magistrate, so that's dragging on and dragging on and dragging on. Somebody says, just reminded me of a clip that should be played at this time. Let me see if we can go back to that there. I think it was Mr. Isaac.
Enough is it? They must. Tonight is a night. We have to sit and wonder, what are we going to do with those people? So I want to tell you a special good evening, ladies and gentlemen. There comes a time when we must say enough is enough. There comes a time when we have to ask ourselves a question, whether we supported Labour Party, whether we support United Workers Party. We have to say enough is enough.
Enough is enough, and that's the current Speaker of the House of Assembly there. Let's go take a break. We'll come back right after this.
Something good. Something good. Fantastic news from Eaststar Trading Limited, presenting yet another top quality, unbeatably priced product brought in especially for you. Just receive world-class clear brand canned tuna in chunks and flakes, available in sunflower oil and brine. Prices start as low as $2.95 per can. Yes, you heard right. Cleo brand canned tuna, perfect for delicious dishes at home, in restaurants and hotels. Shop and save today on world-class Cleo brand tuna, available at Eaststar Trading Limited. Eaststar Trading Limited, working hard every day to make a difference for you. Something good. Something good.
This is Asa Banton, your Tropical Water Ambassador, with your hurricane tip for today. Strengthen your home, trim trees, ensure drains are cleaned, and ensure you have sufficient plywood, aluminum panels to board up your windows and doors. Ensure that outdoor items can be secured. Be prepared, and remember to stock up on Tropical Water.
Bryce and Company Limited. We manufacture high-quality roofing sheets, 24-gauge in different colors, also to customer specifications. That's right, whatever length you want. Aluminum seamless guttering. We also sell BRC mesh, steel rods in all sizes, breach caps, fencing wire, and fencing poles. Free estimates for guttering, galvanized sheets, and fencing wire. Quality products at the lowest prices island-wide. Bryce and Company Limited, located at Caneville Industrial Site, Shed 1A, just before the Old Mill Cultural Center. Call us today at 617-2468 or 615-0178. Bryce and Company Limited. Built for living. Built for life.
Atoufi, point linetman a sou tabla ba mwen. Pe vite souple, mwen pwese.
Sa let me see, Mac. Mac away.
Eh ben, isan akwedi ou pa ka bien. Ouais, mi linet la, même côté a mwen dou la.
La ye tout le, ek matek away?
Ça vle di, ou bizwen ale Optifam vitman avant zye ou vin pli mauvais.
Ti mwen, Mac. Pis pa jodi mwen ni problem epize mwen.
Eh ben, c'est Optifam qui ni pli me docteur zye en peya. A pa di sa, Optifam jatiwe an chay l'argent à tout frame linet. Ek yo ni pli bel frame linet ki en style.
Tout sa? Eh ben, mwen kay check pressure mwen avan, ek apwe nay Optifam.
Non Atoufi, ale la même, puisqu'il yo ka check pressure zye ou, examine zye ou pou licence chauffeur, check pou pisa dou, ek yo ka jik manager maladie zye glaucoma epi cataract.
Bon, ki kote Optifam ye?
Optifam at 223 Great Marlborough Street, 2 Point Queens, Amwazville. Telephone 440-8486. Ebe 285-8676.
Bon Dieu, merci oui pour Optifam. Yo se limo yon pour occupation zio.
Treat yourself, your family, or a loved one to a comprehensive eye examination at Optifarm Eye Center to check for 20/20 vision. Also inquire about or telemedicine services, filling of external eyeglasses prescriptions, and specials on eyewear.
Also opened is A Medic Urgent Care and Telemedicine Center, offering specialized and general healthcare. Call 612-1328 or come in for your appointment. You could also visit our new location at Casapora Bay Street, Portsmouth.
All right, we have just about 13 minutes remaining on this very engaging issue. Dr. Thompson Fontaine appearing in the court for 12 occasions, and the lawyers have not shown a lot of cause for that case to be dismissed. But let me get quickly there. I know that's a current issue. Maybe we'll explore a little later this week. Dr. Thompson Fontaine, we've been hearing a lot as it relates to electoral legislation and what seems to be a pushback by the Prime Minister. Your own views on what we're hearing now, electoral reform.
Matt, my own view is that the Prime Minister has no option but to do the electoral reform. He's promised the people of Dominica, and he cannot back down on electoral reform. Electoral reform that must include, as we said, the issuance of a new voters list, that must have an ID card, access to the radio station, and campaign finance reforms. To me, these are the four fundamental pillars on which electoral reform must stand, and the Prime Minister should not back down on this. You know, we've been in this fight for a very long time, and as you know, you've been hearing the voices are increasingly angry and they're not desperate, but certainly, you know, they're running out of patience, you know, in terms of what the Prime Minister is doing. And we just want to remind the Prime Minister of his responsibility and not to be using the cover of Parliament and, you know, to threaten his I'm like, I could not believe that a Prime Minister would so openly threaten the people of a country with violence. You know, I mean, that's how I interpreted it. When you say that, you know, you're not afraid, you look calm, you're not afraid, you'll mobilize, you know, what is he talking about? Is he planning to set people upon each other because we are calling for electoral reforms? I mean, the prime minister just has to do the right thing. I mean, he has not been believable in the past, and but now we're saying he must do the right thing, and that is to do the electoral reform as the people have been requesting.
Give the people what they want.
Give the people what they want. What is he afraid of, by the way? You've done 24 years in government. What more do you want? Haven't you enjoyed your $64,000 enough and heaped enough misery on the Dominican public? Because that's what he's done. Matt, I've spent the last few days, thank God, going around the country. And, oh, by the way, let me just say a happy birthday to Ma Philip there in Paybush. Spent some wonderful time yesterday. Some beautiful people in Paybush and all around the country, Matt, the call is the same. And I think that's what the prime minister is aware of, that the public of Dominica is fed up with him. I mean, voices that you would never have expected to be saying enough is enough. They are saying enough is enough. And the prime minister is well aware of that. But you have to ask yourself, what is he holding on to? It is clear the public has given up on him. It is clear Labourites are saying that they no longer want him as their prime minister. So what is he clinging on to? I think it's just a matter of doing the right thing. And at least he should live with some legacy. And his legacy, because there's nothing else you can point to say other than impoverishing the Dominican public or than making Dominicans extremely poor. There's nothing else the prime minister has to cling to in terms of his legacy. But his legacy will be one that will be remembered for a very long time. He will be remembered as the prime minister who heaped the most amount of misery on the Dominican public, who made the Dominican people the poorest that we've ever been, and who have destroyed lives and livelihoods, and that is the legacy of this prime minister. So at least he can do something right. And the right thing he can do now is to do the electoral reforms.
Let's listen to the prime minister for the second time or final time on this program.
And you cannot tell me that you want to ask somebody to put the fingerprint on an ID card to vote when you don't need the fingerprint to get a passport, to go out of the country. That's not right. That's not right. When the police arrest you, the only time they are authorized in law to ask for your fingerprint is after you've been charged. And we want to criminalize voting in Dominica? That's what we do? Because the only laws that provide that make it mandatory for fingerprinting is the criminal laws. And it's only after you've been charged for crime and read your rights. And are we saying, as progressive people, enlightened people, that we want to criminalize voting in Dominica? Because we believe that if we do those things, that we can win an election. My friend, politics is hard work. Hard work. And to do this, you must love people. You must be empathetic. And the people who I see pushing this notion of criminalizing voting in Dominica do not love people and have no knowledge of their history. No knowledge of their history. And they're not sincere. And let me say to them, not because you see me cool and nice all the time, that I am afraid of anybody. So they can bring all the demonstration on they want. But they don't want to test this Labour Party and its ability to mobilize people. We are going to go ahead with this reform. We're going to go ahead with this reform. And the Parliament of Dominica will decide, ultimately, what this reform agenda entails.
All right, Dominica, you said the Prime Minister. Yes, of course. You think I'm afraid of all you? Anyway, we're going to take more phone calls. And before we wrap it up there, you heard Dr. Thompson's comment on the electoral reform going forward. Hello, talk to me, yes? Prime Minister,
Matt.
what are you afraid of?
Matt,
Yes.
was it criminal to go into Salisbury and gas the babies, the old grandmothers and grandfathers from the top of the village to the bottom? Was that criminal, Matt? To bring the RSS to shoot at them and terrorize them in their homes? Was that criminal, Roosevelt Skerritt? Yeah? You're talking about fingerprint, but Roosevelt Skerritt, is that criminal? Roosevelt Skerritt, how many? Oh boy, let me leave it there, Matt. We're going to leave it with the criminal thing of RSS because we think that's a sufficient enough example. Now, here's another thing for you to tally, Mr. Thompson Fontaine. One of the utterances that happened in Parliament, or lack of utterance, was when the security minister was asked to divulge how much these lawyers were paid in relation to all these cases that they have brought against the opposition. The Parliament, the Minister of Security said that he refuses to answer that question because basically he's saying it's a security risk. So what he's telling us, in other words, is that if we were to tell the Dominican public that we spent approximately $10 million on prosecuting the opposition without even bringing them to the high court, it's still in the low court and you already spent $10 million, that it would cause a security risk for the country. And he refused to answer the question based on that. Take that in your notes, put that in one of the notes and compile it, Mr. Thompson Fontaine, Dr. Thompson Fontaine.
All right, caller, thank you.
Thank you.
The
Thank you.
information that your lawyer is requesting is a matter of public record. And therefore, the request for that information cannot be denied. It has to be given to your lawyer. The lawyer has to file a writ of mandamus to get the information she or he seeks. It's simple. Just show that there is no other remedy available to him or her. That's I suspect that somebody who knows the legal system.
Yes, absolutely. That's sound advice. It's something we certainly need to follow up.
255. Hello, talk to me. Yes.
Matt.
Yes.
Yes. I want to make 2 points.
Make the point.
Dr. Thompson Fontaine, that petition you did years ago, you should try to redo it and do it island-wide.
That's what I missed that.
That petition he did in Grand Point Village.
Okay.
He did a few years ago. Should redo it and do it island-wide. Also, his lawyer maybe should write to the chief magistrate a serious letter about this thing and have people sign it, calling for this thing to be thrown out. And my last point, Thompson Fontaine, don't limit yourself. Go to Al Jazeera, go to BBC, go to CNN, go to MSNBC, go to regionally, Kana, even try to get on 60 Minutes. Take this out there and give all the particulars and all the information about it, details. I wish you well.
All right, again, here's a paper trail I'm sure you can give to the reporters as well. It is obvious that the prosecution has no case against Thompson, but they are letting wickedness, malice, and evil take the better part of them. But every pig has its Saturday. Tanto, somebody says here. Good afternoon to you. We're going to take a few more phone calls before we wrap it up and allow Dr. Fontaine his final comments. Hello, yes.
Matt, good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you.
Matt Skerritt is a very evil man. It is fair to say. Anybody can see that. Very, very evil. And Matt Thompson Fontaine said he's frustrated about the case. But you know what? Skerritt and them have him exactly where they want him. That's what they want to do. They want to frustrate him. Can you imagine he has to come all the way from Africa and they already know the judge will not postpone the case. They already know. So they're laughing. That's exactly where they want him. They have Dr. Fontaine exactly where they want him. They want to frustrate him and make life. And these courts are fake courts. I don't have no respect for these courts at all. They are fake. Anyway, take it easy.
All right, take it easy. Somebody's saying now the magistrate is a coward. It seems that the court has found a way to sidestep one's right to speedy trial. That's what another person is suggesting here this time. Hello, talk to me, huh? Are you there?
Good afternoon, Matt, and good afternoon to your listeners.
Good afternoon to you, sir.
Matt, I'm calling on my friend Levi, who spent many years in England to do the right thing for the country and the people of Dominica. Thank you.
Are you calling on Levi to do the right thing? Okay. 2:58 is the afternoon time. We have just about 2 more minutes. Hello, yes.
Yeah, thank you, brother. How you doing?
I'm here.
Yeah, Brother Thompson, greetings.
Yes, greetings.
Yeah, greetings. You know, I listen to folks calling about international attention and all these things, you know, and that seems to be the pattern in Dominica. Everything is being reached out with for the Americans to do, with for these people to do, that people to do. How are you going to get international appeal towards the case when you do not have national appeal? You have an organization, its entire front end is on the docks. Its entire front end, you know, the results of this case can destroy that institution, you know, and people don't seem to get that. And you have not had organized not one massive protest outside the court. Forget about the rest of Dominica. Just you as an institution, your very life is on the line in these cases. You understand? And I don't get that sense of urgency. So to expect England to expect this, even Thompson in that case, I don't think Thompson's getting 100% returns on his investment regarding his lawyers. This case is both persecution and prosecution. The process of attacking this case cannot be just a court. There needs to be a social component to that defense. I don't hear no mobilization legally. So a lot of things just don't make sense in the way in which these cases are being approached. You have Edison, heritage member. You have Lennox, president. You have Brian in trouble. You have Thompson. You guys understand what's happening? The whole institution.
So what is your advice going forward there, Mr. Z. Lloyd?
But that's what I'm saying. That I'm telling you my advice going forward. The institution itself has to take more responsibility for this calamity. There needs to be massive protests outside the sport before you get international people to be involved, before you get these lawyers have to put more intensiveness into this case outside of the court.
So how did Al Jazeera, of course, follow the recent case, read the Labour Party and what was going on? How did Al Jazeera get there?
What do you mean Al Jazeera?
The last report that they had on the Labour Party. How did they get there? Because you're saying that it cannot happen without the mobilization of persons on the ground. I'm asking you, how did Al Jazeera get there the last time?
But Matt, Al Jazeera doesn't change anything in that case, Matt, what that case needs to do is register jail.
Didn't they expose the Labour Party and the nonsense, Mr. Zed Lloyd, in that recent case? I'm bearing if you're asking you some specific question because you said without the protest action, they will not get here. So I'm asking you a specific question to make reference to what you're asking.
What I'm telling you, Matt, is in this case, okay, there's unnecessary hardship to a client, paying monies to come repeatedly and not getting addressed in the court. Why isn't the CCJ being addressed? That's beyond That's injustice in the court system itself, as a man who's not guilty. Why isn't the CCJ being called upon? Why isn't certain avenues other than in the court being addressed?
But it is a case of injustice, and I'm sure, of course, institutions like the BBC, Al Jazeera will be attracted to a case like that.
Matt, I'm saying the BBC will be easier attracted to the case, just like the Desmond Trotter case. Remember the Desmond Trotter case? I know you were a youth man still. Remember Desmond Trotter?
Well, you said I was a youth man still. I can't remember that case.
Yeah, a perfect case. National appeal rate, international awareness. The perfect example. We should repeat that in this case.
But again, we're running out of time. I wish I could continue that argument there, but Dr. Thompson Fontaine, any final comments before you go? Yes?
Matt, just to say thanks to you and to the people of Dominica and for their support. Let me just encourage all Dominicans to continue to be patient and to believe that change is coming to Dominica. From what I have been able to pick up in talking to people, and there is a great sense of optimism that these government days are in fact numbered, and that to me is a good thing because Dominica needs some time to breathe. This Labour Party government has not worked in the best interest of Dominica, and no amount of stealing, no amount of trying to rig elections is going to make them, or even call snap elections for that matter, is going to make them escape the final judgment of the Dominican public. And I say final because at the next polls, the Labour Party will be history. And to me, that is very encouraging. That's why, Matt, I continue to go through this agony because at the end of the day, it's about Dominica. At the end of the day, it's about, doing better for our people. It's about, improving the lives of countless Dominicans who have been suffering at the hands of this Labour Party government. So it is well worth the pain and suffering that I've had to endure so far with regards to this case, but it's nothing compared to what the people of Dominica have had to endure over 24 years of Labour Party rule. And when I compare my own suffering and tribulations with what the general public or the majority of Dominicans have had to go through. We're talking about Dominicans who never wanted to migrating. We're talking about Dominicans having to make do with a few $100 every month, $300, $400 every month. That is nothing. So at the end of the day, it's all about the suffering of the Dominican public and how we can remove the weight of this government on your shoulders. And so I just want to encourage all of the Dominicans, all of these wonderful people that we've met in the past few days who are committed when the pay packets start coming around, don't go back. on your promise to get rid of this government. Don't let the short-term fixes of pay packets, a little $100 here and there, make you go back on your promise to remove this government. We're talking about how we can better Dominica in the long term, and removing this government is the way to start.
Dr. Fontaine, thank you very much. I'm hoping I get a chance to talk to you again before you leave this country. Thank you very much.
Appreciate it, Matt. Thanks a lot.
If you think I'm crazy, it's the music that got me so. When my party people, throw your hands in the sky. I. Come, my friends, I need you. It's time to raise the vibe with your hands in the air, hands in the air, hands in the air, hands in the air. This is how we flow.